very flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat Earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Len, Surf Daddy, Click OK, Adam, Neil, Liam, and a whole bunch of people in the Flipside Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
How are you?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello. What's north?
What's north? I don't know. Feeling a little bit south, I guess, because we haven't made our way through all of the so-called new housekeeping questions, otherwise known as Feast of Nonsense renditions from Facebook. But we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. A couple more weeks, I reckon. I've got enough thumbnails to last me for at least another half a dozen shows, which I'm very pleased about. But we're going to be covering a couple of different bits and bobs today. I'm going to keep the panel on their toes with a few questions that are, or should be, familiar to them. As I say, we've had them put to us at least 100 times per question, or stated in terms of its estimation as a flat earth evidence, in spite of most of them, if not all of them, not being the case, unless you expand out on them and incorporate the flat earth prerequisites that are used to incorporate a sphere debunking into some of these question proofs. Is an interesting one. It took Captain Cook 3 years and 60,000 miles to circumnavigate the Antarctic Circle. Who wants to cover that?
Miles, you say?
Well, that's a circumferential mile value, and it's not derivative from a Polaris measurement. So I would question where they got the distance in linear miles, you are correct, from. And in terms of, in case one deck's listening, the quantity of time, that would be years, also derived from flat earth prerequisites in terms of that particular convention. But as far as I know, that's an unsubstantiated claim. So I've never seen any actual evidence that it took Captain Cook 3 years to allegedly circumnavigate anything. Now, when I hear that story, it isn't necessarily phrased in the way that it's phrased in this Facebook list. The way I hear it is to suggest from flat earthers that there's a 60,000 mile in circumference ice wall. Now, that claim is, again, some unsubstantiated nonsense that attempts to affirm the validity of a North Pole-centric globe projection, otherwise known as the As-It-Is map, which has an ice wall, or the North Pole-centric azimuthal equidistant North Pole projection. Again, from a globe that presents an ice wall around the edge of the known territories as that map presents them. Now, for me, it's like, why are you making this claim? It's alleged that Captain Cook navigated. Okay, let's just stop there. What's navigation? How do we expand the known territories and still find our way home? Well, we use the navigation stars. We have plotted their positions in almanacs and can do so for another 10,000 years with absolute accuracy. We'll always have an accurate depiction of where a star that's used for navigation is above at a given time. And if you can measure your angle with respect to it, you can plot your position on a map. That's how useful they've been. And they, the stars, have expanded the known territories by measuring Earth flat with them and travelling in linear distances, miles, and then finding our way back home based on what we'd already expanded the territories with, having mapped them, charted them after finding them and surveying them. Flat in all instances. So this just so story offered up for the evidence of Earth being flat. Okay, who's Captain Cook? Other than him being a navigator, he doesn't have any relevance on the actual surveying, measuring and navigating of Earth in more general terms. He just happens to be a character that is suggested to have done exactly that. But then we attach, as flat earthers, not me, this value to him, like he's got a 60,000 mile circumference designation. Now, who cares? We've got plenty of circumferential measurements in terms of areas of equal elevation that we derive by utilisation of navigation stars, more specifically Polaris, for latitude. It also derives into their equator value for their radius and has to cross-reference, that's to say match, the sun's measurements on an average when you get to vernal equinox. So in terms of what they've actually measured flat from the surface level with angles to derive concepts like time, latitude and indeed longitude for mapping systems to show you the expanded territories, project them onto a globe, project them back out onto a conical system and from a given point, in this case the North Pole, give it you in an azimuth equidistant projection. Well, that doesn't mean we've got an ice wall. Doesn't mean we need to make this claim, and it's inconsequential to how flat is it the Earth is measured. Anybody else got anything to add on Captain Cook?
Allegedly, that came from his logs. I've never read them, so I can't confirm or deny.
If he's skirting the known territory, he's going to have navigation stars to know what direction he's travelling horizontal when he does it. In other words, if he's going to have logs that say, I travelled in this direction, he's giving it in a degree or with respect to azimuth, horizontal, for his orientation dictation in his logbook. So the information that's actually been put down is always going to be capable of description with regards to positional information. All Earth positional information is designated with respect to a Cartesian system. It's all been measured with respect to the stars and their GP positions at given times. That's what navigation is. Same goes for the maps and the scales on them when we chart and survey the lands that we have found so that we can allege to be travelling in a given direction with a given azimuth horizontally at a alleged value of 60,000 miles with an alleged ice wall all the way around us. It's like, why are the two latter bits that are inconsequential to what we know and understand to be the known territory, why do they have to be given at the top of the headline rather than the Earth's been measured flat with every prerequisite that's used to tell this story? In my opinion, it's just yet another red herring offered up to distract from the actual measurements that are used in the process of navigation in favour of a just-so story that flat earthers can lean into to suggest that we've got an ice wall when attempting to validate a globe projection known as the Gleason's map. Now, the fact that the globe projection itself has come from flat Earth elevation angle measurements at vernal equinox or at the equatorial minimum to derive sphericity around an equatorial plane at a fixed value, to work in conjunction with the angle measurements taken from the equatorial plane inside a magically created globe that's akin to a protractor view, Polaris-centric, with ever-decreasing circles of equal elevation, that's flat Earth circles of equal altitude, as you move towards Polaris and have its elevation angle increase, that's to say get further and further up with respect to the horizon by way of measurement, at 1 degree for every 60 flat nautical miles as you approach Polaris. That's the system. Turning the sphere Earth they paint or project, as they put it, on a globe, nothing more than a view from a glorified protractor that is in actuality depicted inside a globe whenever anything to do with navigation or indeed heliocentric motion is described after the conversion from flat Earth measurements. All very fart-sniffing and complicated.
I was going to say Arctic Circle, circles are flat. All their terms mean or need flat.
Yep. Next, we've got underground cables and ground-based telecommunications are what we actually have for our internet and mobile phone services, as opposed to satellites floating around in an orbital motion. Who wants to tackle that? I'm just going to read it like it's read off the page, because I added to that, right? And I'm doing it because I want to make it make sense in terms of how we attack it. But what it actually says is underground, as opposed to undersea, cables and ground-based towers are used for our communication, full stop. It's number 27 on the list. And when I heard it, I read it out to the panel in the pre-show, I'm like, this is just a statement of fact. Okay, so we've got underground cables. Yes, I watched them install my fibre optic cables. They're definitely underground. It's a statement of absolute fact. Ground towers carry the communication. What, the 3, 4 and 5G towers that we actually see? Yes, they do. Again, a statement of absolute fact. But because in the list it doesn't juxtapose that with the assertion that we've got heliocentric motion from objects that have been put into an orbit via rockets that take these items into a sky vacuum and have them operate in geosynchronous or standard orbit with respect to, when described at altitude, a planar surface. So you've got planar geometry linked to altitude for these telecommunication systems. Response from flat earthers, well, the ground cables and the sea cables and the towers are what actually give us the communication. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it might be a mixture of all three. What's up in the sky is described in terms of altitude measurement from sea level, perpendicular to it, so it's a flat earth measurement. If you're going to suggest that these items are in a sky vacuum, 10 to the minus 17 torr called outer space, then the gas that we are breathing would have filled that space if it was real, making the area they are alleged to be in, that's the satellites not mentioned in this particular point, in an area that doesn't exist, akin to Narnia. Now, if you say, well, actually, no, they're equivalent to the low Earth orbit, again, flat Earth prerequisites notwithstanding, but in a balloon format, satelloons, then again, you're going to describe any of their trajectories with respect to the ground, its flat distance, measured accurately to the millimetre, and its altitude perpendicular to a master reference called sea level, all of which are flat Earth prerequisites, axiomatically requiring horizontal distance measurements and horizontality for perpendicularity when describing altitude. So why lean into the obvious when it comes to how our communications are done through wires in the ground or under the oceans? Yes, we definitely do have those, but to suggest that we've got the antithesis of that being the overarching means of communication via satellites is, number one, simply not true, self-evidently, if you've ever watched them dig the ground up, or heard any story that's been propagandizing you about the entire internet being cut through because some careless trawling boat has cut through the main fibre optic wire between, I don't know, UK and States or wherever else they suggest these cables are dragged under the ocean, which they absolutely are. But we definitely don't have a sky vacuum. The sky is not a vacuum. There's no soil in the sky. Now, as for whether or not there's what they call satellites, I don't know, but their trajectory, if they do exist, will be described with respect to a planar surface. And if there are satelloons, again, I've seen them being launched, videos thereof. I understand, to the best of my understanding, that they do exist. But do they carry our communication? It seems kind of wild. Why bother when you've got plenty of ground cables doing it anyway? So it seems a bit redundant, but maybe they do. If they do, and they're suddenly demonstrated to carry communication signals in some significant way, does that alter that their measurements of altitude come from surface level / sea level? No. Does it change that their trajectories were always plotted with respect to planar surfaces? No. No, we'll still measure flat Earth for them to exist in any capacity that we can measure. Anybody else got anything to add to the satelloons / data communication cables being undersea / underground and or ground control towers? Any more for any more?
I wrote in the comments, you can't even measure to a satellite without using our flat Earth. So,
yeah, precisely. That's a good summary. Flight paths make much more sense on a flat Earth. Again, this is a red herring. If we look at the path that the flight takes, then we're ignoring that its altitude measurement is perpendicular to sea level. It remains in straight and level flight when instructed to be at a given flight level parallel with surface level by ground control when they set about their journeys. This red herring allows and facilitates the azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection to be presented as though it is actually an accurate representation of the world if we ignore that they have gerrymandered the maps. Well, you don't have to ignore that. I know for a fact that the azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection, otherwise known as the Gleason's or as it is map, is not correct. So who cares what it shows a plane doing on that map if it's not correct? It's not correct because it's heavily distorted from conical projection, from globe, from flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurements to a conceptual glorified protractor that looks like this. Now that is created by, as I say, elevation angle measurements to Polaris and the Sun if you describe it at vernal equinox to create a mathematical system. Okay, so the starting point for all of the mapping are measurements that will be described in a Cartesian way, measured with a flat Earth angle to positions that stars are above, that we've tracked for thousands of years and will be able to track accurately for tens of thousands of years to come because of their cyclical nature. Where they will be above, at what time, we know exactly. That's the navigational stars we measure on a flat Earth and derive concepts like this to create, from flat Earth measurements, sphericity for coordinates in angular degrees on the curved surface of the protractor that we measured them with to create a longitude and latitude system, with degrees that represent elevation angle measurements from surface level, a flat Earth prerequisite. So once you distort those flat Earth angles from surface level to a globe, and then from this globe, conically, and then project it in a specific way from the North Pole to create an azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection, you can then say that that projection is correct? No, definitely not. But every single aspect that gets you there is going to be a flat Earth measurement. Even for the distorted azimuthal projections, they all start with flat Earth measurements, get projected onto globes, a glorified protractor, and then back out onto either a conical shape that gets projected then flat, or into a cylindrical shape that can get cut down the middle and rolled out flat. Whichever way it's done, it's still distorting the land, no matter which way you dice it. So, do we have any accurate maps? Well, as far as I'm concerned, the very small and local scales that you get for things like the OS maps are as accurate as they can be, and they're very proud for their accuracy. Do they give us a world map in that format? No. But we have charted the entire world and measured it in the same similar, accurate way that your average land topography has been measured by the Ordnance Survey. Flat, using linear distances. That's how we measure. Those are the axiomatic principles that are in effect. What's that? They curve? Oh, right. What's the horizontal principle that you'll have them deviate from to describe the deviation from horizontal when you describe them as curving? Oh, you'll need miles to describe 8 inches per them in a horizontal linear fashion to describe the curve that you suggest the ground's got after you've measured it flat with miles to derive the curve from. Yeah, miles are flat. And that's what we use to measure the territory, to project it onto a sphere, out conically onto a map, to then say, the flights look better on this map. So, they're flying in flight level, parallel with the ground, measured with altimeters that are measuring barometric pressure from sea level. Sea level itself is an average flat Earth measurement, describing a distance that you'll travel in the plane in miles or kilometres. Flat, horizontal, perpendicularity ascribed with level flight, parallel with the ground. It is that simple. Every part of every aspect of every measurement to do with flight is flat. But we want to compare it to the elite's maps that they've given us when propagandizing us and gerrymandering the world to their advantage and say that it works better on a globe projection than it does on what? A globe? Nobody's using a globe for navigation. At best you might see it if you zoom out on a GPS screen, but it's ascribed coordinates. So they're flat Earth prerequisites in terms of how you measure to give you those degree points in respect to latitude and longitude on a flat Cartesian system. So who cares what map it works better on after the distorted nonsense that we get as maps? Nobody's got an accurate world map. Anybody else got anything to add on how much better flight plans work on azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projections, or should we move on?
You just don't understand flight paths.
Just don't understand flight level. So when a flight controller tells you to ascend to 40,000 feet from sea level and maintain level flight, is it because I don't understand that level does not mean level? Okay, I don't care.
I'm not talking about people. You just don't understand how flight paths work.
The level.
You're just killing my argument, dude.
Well, it's not an argument, though, is it? What are you going to argue with? When they say ascend to 40,000 feet, that wasn't a debating point. That let's get it absolutely clear. It's not up for debate when ground control tell an aircraft to ascend to a flight level. That is unequivocally not up for discussion. If they don't maintain it, people notice and go, I told you to be at that altitude. What's wrong? In other words, something's amiss if they're not adhering to flat Earth prerequisites. That's flight levels, measured from sea level. Now you can say, well, that bends. No, it doesn't. It's talking about parallel, surface, level, and eye level. Mapped accuracy to the millimetre when describing distances that the planes are flying over. Now, you don't have to like this. You can say, oh, well, after we've measured it flat, we can convert it to have as much sphericity as we like and cry about spherical excess. But it doesn't alter what axiomatic principle's being called out by the ground control. It's not up for debate. They tell them to ascend to a certain flight level, the measurement of which comes from sea level. That is how Earth is measured and dealt with planes. Not up for discussion. Any more on this particular point? Okay, next feast of nonsense garbage waffle. All of the Challenger spacecraft occupants are still alive today, apart from the ones that aren't.
This was big when Flat Earth was first hitting the scene. This was a big one, boy.
It's a miracle.
One of the first things I covered, obviously a feast of nonsense embarrassment now, but showing that the Apollo missions had what I believe to be scale rockets sent up that were smaller than the actual suggested rockets that would be capable of carrying men in them. What actually goes up is a glorified firework. Now, I came to that conclusion by analysing the footage based on the scale of men that were in the foreground versus the rocket that was in the background, and its alleged 100-plus foot size, and by comparison with the scales with fence posts going up towards it, you could roughly calculate how high the item that they actually send up into the sky with a flat Earth ballistic trajectory described with horizontal distance measurements and perpendicular altitude measurements, that was a firework. Therefore, if there's one of those fireworks failing while it's still in the line, in the sight lines of the public, then they have to allege that people who are claimed to be on it, which I wouldn't imagine that they were, it's a scale model. It's not going out to a sky vacuum, that's for damn sure. So when you end up with essentially a VFX failure, you know what I mean? You end up with this massive continuity error. What do? Do you kill the people that weren't on it in the first place, that were alleged to have died on it, or do you just assign them new jobs? And then when they come up and go, well, look, you look exactly the same as this person in this photo, just a bit older. They're like, no, the fact that I've got the same name and look exactly the same doesn't mean I'm that person. So go some of the interviews with people that have got the same names as the people who are in these in these positions.
Don't forget the twins.
Oh, of course.
It was a set of twins, right?
Often NASA will employ twins. Just another piece of nonsense cockwaffle to throw off any alleged sleuths in this instance. Who gives a crap? Where's the ballistic trajectory? Let's have a look at how far they travelled and how high they travelled. Right, so we need flat Earth measurements of sea level to describe this altitude. We need flat Earth distances, linear and measured, horizontal in nature. We need azimuth in degrees to determine what direction they're flying in. Okay, so we definitely need at least 3 flat Earth measurements. Why are we arguing about this again? Who cares?
Just noticed a similarity in arguments or rebuttals. Just because it looks flat and measures flat doesn't mean it is flat. Just because I look like the astronaut that died and I'm about the same age as the astronaut doesn't mean that I'm the astronaut that died. That's the only place they can go.
Just because my birth certificate says my name, it doesn't mean it's me.
Yeah, meanwhile, we've got flat earthers who are looking at social security numbers and looking at birth certificates and doing gotcha interviews, stopping that one astronaut, she works at a college. Are you that person? No, run away, run away. Ooh, the conspiracy continues. Look at me. I've done some great research and found out that, NASA lies.
And they put themselves in that position because they figure, we'll take the let them continually call us liars. As long as we got them saying that, everything's good.
Okay, this next one I'm going to struggle to actually associate with anything that's associated with what we currently cover, and you'll see why as soon as I say it. NASA used green screen technology.
David Weiss made his bones on that.
I'm not going to deny the work of people like Dilly Gill and David Weiss when it comes to scrutinising the fakery that is the stage show known as the ISS or Apollo, or more recently what do they call the ones where they were launching satellites out the back of the shuttle? I've forgotten what they called those particular missions. Whatever. They're all, faking a lot of stuff. I said it yesterday. NASA are on the cutting edge of cinematography. So let's just lead with that. I suppose no one else has got anything to add to it. NASA are on the cutting edge of cinematography. That is to say, green screen would have been in existence and utilised by NASA before we even knew what it was. Very useful tool that they would have employed at a very subtle, in a very subtle way, so that they could fake us. Now, if you want to see how NASA utilise green screen and crop images that are hiding the ceilings that suspend the astronauts on trapeze, then go and watch Dilly Gill, DILLYGILL, where he exposes the NASA fakery for what it is and how it's done. Exposing that in certain live link-ups where they'd have an audience and then a buffer between an audience and a plasma TV at the front of the stage, a couple of news-style readers talking to the audience and conducting a live link-up between something like the ISS and an audience. And on the plasma TV that's in the live studio, it's cropped so you can't see the ceiling. They do a very boring link-up, answer a couple of questions from the live audience so that they definitely know that they're live in space. And then that footage would vanish. It would only ever exist on a distant, blurry television screen for a live audience that are asking these questions. Later, after post-production, they'd edit out the ceiling and introduce a new fake green screen ceiling so that it looked like they were actually floating instead of just on high wire trapeze. You're like, okay. So they're on high wire, in harnesses, spinning around. That's why they always spin like that. You're like, if you've ever used... I have. I was a lovely performing artist. So this sort of technology is far from unfamiliar to me. If you ever watch Peter Pan, you'll know about bringing in a character actor onto a stage on a high wire. Now, unfortunately, there's only certain axes that they can rotate through when they do a little gambol. And when they do their little gambol between their wires, often they get caught up in them. And one of the other actors has to grab hold of one of the wires. It's a laughable affair when you know what's going on. But like any magic trick, when you know the trick, it's suddenly less impressive. Now, if you don't know the trick, wow, men flying in sky vacuums. Yeah, in an orbital motion that's been derived from flat Earth measurements. Again, I covered that on yesterday's show. Speaking of which, there's going to be a whole bunch of shorts videos that come out for you, the general public, which are currently members only. So if you want to see them, there's at least 24 of them now. I've been trimming them out daily, and these that I'm doing now in response to these Feast of Nonsense flat Earth assertions will also get trimmed out from today's show. But if you want 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes 2.5 minute long videos that are digestible address to any of these sorts of questions, that's feast or nonsense, flat earth assertions, then that's where to find them. I'll be releasing maybe 1 or 2 a day over the course of the next couple of weeks. There's already about half a dozen already been released to the public, and the other 2 dozen, like I say, are in the members only short section. So check it out if you're a member. If you've already got access to those videos, check out the short section as a member only treat. There's all sorts of nicely, concisely formatted videos for your enjoyment, derived from these on the live shows. Got curry tonight. I might go for a snooze. My wife takes one of the children to a gymnastics class on a Friday, so I have to go pretty late to the curry each evening. I end up going there about 7 o'clock. But I don't know why I've pushed myself and burnt the candle at both ends. It's probably because I want to build up a back catalogue of more of these shorts videos. So when I publish the Uncut and After Show on the second channel, that's another thing I'll plug. If you don't want to be a member, you can get these videos for free about 2 weeks later on the second channel, just called Nathan Space Oakley, or Nathan Oakley. Well, that channel has the ability to delay the publication of a premiere, which means that when you go to that video, it's got a preview. Now, these videos will be, as they're all unlisted shorts on the second channel, the previews to the Uncut and After shows, the ones that the members get immediately after they're made, and then they get delayed and come out on the second channel for free. So there's never any suggestion that I'm retaining material or holding back the truth as a shill or something like that. Like, eventually, all of my material goes out to the public for free. It's just you have to be subscribed to 2 different channels in order to receive it, or be a member if you want it immediately after it's been produced. But the same thing applies. These shorts videos, and that's another reason I've been keen to do them, will replace what was the unlisted section of the second channel, which was all microphone videos. So as a result of being suggested to withhold the publication of a book that I had ready about 18 months, 2 years ago, I was offered assistance from a couple of friends who have subsequently been dismissed from our company to polish up a book that's about to come out, but has been a couple of years perhaps more in the making than it should have been. But in the interim period, to mitigate for the losses that the book was supposed to mitigate for, I sold microphones. And on the second channel, there's a whole buffer of microphone videos that were accidentally uploaded. So I must have made 200 or 300 of them, because I sold about 500 over the year. But, there was a video for almost every mic, and occasionally I'd accidentally upload one to the second channel, because that would be what I was logged in on when I uploaded the microphone video. But that meant that when I was coming to make the Uncut and After show ready for the general public rather than members, what YouTube would offer me as a preview would be all of the unlisted microphone videos, and I'd be like, what can I pick? So I had a much more limited selection of preview videos to put alongside the Uncut and After show, ready for when the public get to consume it a couple of weeks after it's come out for members. So now, as a result of making all of these videos, I've got loads of material to put as previews for the Uncut and After show that you'll receive if you're not a member. So there we go. That's why I've been keen and burning the candle at both ends to get all these videos done. I am bang up to date, by the way. So as of now, if you're a member, every video that could... No, that's not true, isn't it? There was one that we thought about yesterday with... Can you remember what it was that I said that I hadn't done at the beginning of the After show, Neil? What was the... I could just look at the list, couldn't I? I could look at the one before we've done today and know which one I've missed out, because that's got to be trimmed out from yesterday as well. Anybody remember? Oh, it's the...
I'm drawing a blank.
Neil deGrasse Tyson pear-shaped, no. Photo forensics show NASA faked the Earthrise. I did do that one. Oh, it's the logo. It's the azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection.
No.
From the United Nations logo / flag. I haven't trimmed that out, so I'm not up to date. Damn. We'll do one more, and then I won't have overwhelmed myself for the weekend of work, because there's a good chance that I'll be asked to check over the ebook. I was told yesterday that I'll be getting the ebook back to check off, and that should be ready, as in the publishers finish making the ebook, pending me saying, yeah, it all looks good. I'm at the point where I'm saying, how much will it cost? Will I just have a link that I can put under the video? Do I need to check the ebook, or can I just start selling it? Those are the questions I'm asking to give you an idea of how close the publication of the book is. Because people are constantly asking me. It's like the most asked question at the moment. Very, very, very soon, based on, as you can probably tell, the questions I'm putting to the publisher.
Ooh, that sounds good. Nice.
Yeah, in 12 attempts of getting him the correct resolution. So I keep producing the same ebook cover over and over and over again. And I'm, using Perplexity AI to produce it. And I will very specifically ask it to produce it at a particular DPI and resolution. And then once it's given it me, I'll ask it, is this in this resolution at this DPI? It'll be like, yeah, absolutely. So I'll be like, okay, so I'll send it to my publisher, and then he'll send me back again for about the 10th time. This is not in the correct resolution. And I must have done that, like I say, at least 10 times, probably a dozen times. And I just can't seem to get it to him on an email in the correct resolution. So how we will resolve that, I don't know. I think in the last email he said, I'll have a try at rescaling it or something like that. In other words, he's got so sick of asking me to do it that he's going to step in and have to do it himself to get it to the correct resolution. It's just like little details, though, isn't it? Okay, so what do we do? Underground cables, Captain Cook, flight paths are more accurate on a flat Earth, Challenger, Actonauts are still alive, NASA have been caught using green screen. That was number 30. Should we stop there? Or should I do one more?
Yeah, we'll stop there.
Stop there and we'll carry on from 31 on Monday. Okay.
All right.
Well, we'll have to talk amongst ourselves for 20 minutes then. Send it to the after show, because I'm going to go and have a snooze after the live show's finished. There probably won't be an after show. Now, massive thank you to all of you who joined us live. See you in the next video. Stay tuned if you're watching on after show. I'm just joking. We're going to stay live.
On a second. Did I hear you're going to cut the after show short on a Friday?
Yeah, I'm going for a curry.
Oh, well.
I need to
Why
go and
not?
get money out and have a little snooze.
I never heard of snoozing to get ready to go out to dinner.
No, you're not up till 3 in the morning trimming out videos and making songs.
Okay.
Speaking of which, because I use Perplexity AI and I'm poor, I only get a certain amount of renders each day, and each day I had a vision in my mind of what I wanted to do with the Feast of Nonsense imagery. So I've shown this already in the pre-show, but I will play it again with audio for the audience's benefit. Or shall I just go through it and talk through? No, I've already done that once. In the pre-show, what I've done is I've gone through these images and explained verbally what they are as you zoom out from the settings. So it starts looking at a table with a load of food on it, and then you zoom out, see people around it, one of which is holding a globe, eating these Feast of Nonsense delights. You zoom out a bit further, and they're actually on the moon with a moon buggy behind them and Earthrise beyond the horizon of the moon. Then you zoom out a bit further, and that's actually a film stage set with a director and a sound guy and loads of lighting. And then you zoom out a bit further, and that film set is on a stage. So even the men that are pretending to be directors and sound guys are actually part of a stage production that an entire audience is watching. And when you zoom out a bit further, that audience watching a movie being made about men on the moon eating a feast of nonsense is actually on a TV being watched by a child. And that child is actually in the memory of me in the present time, being watched by God. As you zoom out a bit further, you see a man holding an iPad looking at me being viewed by God, having a memory about a stage show, about a film being made, about men eating at the Feast of Nonsense with the moon in the background. So all of those images have been progressively being created within the limits that Perplexity AI will allow me to, with the limits that it imposes for a free user. So with that in mind, now I've done it again, as I did in the pre-show, I'll actually play the video along with the music that goes along with it. So this is another version of the song that we did actually play yesterday, called The Feast of Nonsense.
Subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980.
Without protestation or procrastination, and at no risk of demonetization. The ether sensation is the manifestation of the vibration when viewing liberation, and a perturbation and a variation with background radiation when we view illumination. There is no postulation in my verbal masturbation, because perception of the visualization of light emanation in a rotation gravitation, toroidation of magnetization through vacuum evacuation. Show them Maxwellization, propagation with emotion, demonstration, phase quantization via quantum induction validation, where we view the Michelson-Morley experimentation, showing consistent variation, observation, when illumination went on vacation, and aberration in atmosphere stratification. And that's a miniaturization of the ether explanation. If you're lacking comprehension, it's because of your education that I mentioned the free power generation. Long live the ether. This declaration is now for your hypothesization. Subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980.
Subscribe to
Like my dude with the Batman logo. Shout out to him sake. He says, enjoy the most British cuisine. Curry! Very good. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
That was great, that, Nathan. Really enjoyed that video. It zooms out and you get all that going on. It's really good idea. Brilliant.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd have done it all in one go if I'd have had the funds to actually subscribe to some of these AI generating programs. There's so many of them and they are very good. You know, they will and are putting people out of work. It's just in this instance, I would have just gone without rather than employing somebody to produce this imagery. Whereas with AI, it's just a case of spending half an hour for each image tweaking what you tell AI to produce. Because you tell it to produce something and it comes out with something that's very little like you actually envisaged. So you have to go back and say, no, what I actually meant was this. And that takes a while. But it's very easy compared to actually producing the artwork.
I wanted to mention kudos for your videography skills on your shorts that you've got out. You have got them trimmed so tight that I've gone through them probably like I'm starting on my third round of watching it before I realize that the short was over 2 rounds ago.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because I trim them in such a way. I've just nicked that off for the videographers who do well with shorts videos. And what they do is they'll trim it in such a way that the start and end cannot be identified. And it makes sense to hear it for the second time around as it plays through for a second time. I'll show you what I mean. So let's pick a video. I know I've done it with pretty much all of them. So we'll pick up... let's pick a nice short one.
You have a shot, you got a super chat, Nathan.
Got another super chat. I've already shouted out him sake.
Oh, you already shouted it out. Gotcha,
yeah,
mate.
thank you very much, him sake. We'll stick this on so you can see what Surf Daddy's talking about. Maybe they're affected by a pseudo. Look up what pseudo means. Space-time geometry. Bending in a 4th dimension. No, this was plucked out of a man's arse called Einstein. If you're going to describe water displacing air, that's because it's more dense than the medium, and Archimedes did a perfectly satisfactory job of this. It's about the density of the object versus the medium. So if you've got a load of mercury, you can float an anvil on it based on it being less dense than the medium it's trying to displace. Mercury is more dense, therefore the anvil doesn't go through it even though it's liquid at room temperature. Archimedes' relative density disequilibrium. Very simple to describe, also known as specific gravity. Does mass attract mass? No. Have you never farted? Did the gas go down, go boom boom to the earth? No, what, it spread out from the source at ground level where you are and went up? Yeah, that's what gas does. It spreads out. Most, if not all of it, is created at ground level. Gases go up. Maybe they're affected by a pseudo. Look up what pseudo means. Space-time geometry. Bending in a 4th dimension. No, this was plucked out of a man's arse. Did anybody see where the link was? Anybody catch the break where it ended and started again? Probably not. These are the dozen or so videos that I've produced as a result of it. So the most recent one yesterday, which is relatively short, is the one describing Bart Sibrel as in him and a funny thing altitude happening is on still the way to the measured moon. off a flat Earth. Forensics show NASA faked the Earthrise during moon landings. It's alleged Bart Sobral received a tape accidentally from NASA that showed them in a set putting a cardboard cutout against a window that alleges to be them in a rocket ship at high altitude just filming the ground, and with a little bit of visual magic and cardboard cutouts and changing the depth of field of the camera, they can make a circular window look like a ball Earth in a sky vacuum with a Terminator line.
If there was an area of space 10 to the minus 17 so the gas would fill it. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics.
They're alleged to be at a low Earth orbit. Yeah, you're going to need to measure a flat Earth from sea level to describe how low they are, with an altitude ascribed to this alleged sky vacuum trip to take a picture from a low Earth orbit. Earth gets measured flat for altitude. You're going to describe topographical deviations or elevation of aircraft, then you're describing it from a master reference known as sea level, mean sea level, specifically, measured flat also. But that's how perpendicular altitude is ascribed to describe something in a low Earth orbit, regardless of whether or not it's violating the second law of thermodynamics, being in alleged sky vacuum, or near to the Kármán line if they're only in low Earth orbit. You'll need a height above a flat Earth for that. As far as my concerns are with the nonsense subject matter of rocket ships and spacecraft in Narnia after traversing through the wardrobe that is the high-pressure gas, not dispersing into the area beyond the wardrobe, akin to Narnia, called outer space. Altitude is still measured off a flat Earth. Forensics show NASA faked the Earthrise during moon landings. It's a... I think you get the general idea if you're watching as a member of the public. Like I say, these will all be released to the general public in due course. At the moment, they're all members only. Unless you're one of my TikTok subscribers, because I can't figure out how to delay the publication of them. So all of them have just gone out to TikTok, but not to a massive audience. I think I've got about 1,500 subscribers there, or less than 1,500 subscribers. So it's no big deal.
TikTok, though, is very, very heavy on flat earther, feast of nonsense posters, videographers.
There's a lot of fat sniffing flat Earth
Did you say
TikTokers.
you're on TikTok?
Didn't know I was on TikTok.
Yeah. Did you say that you have you're having those videos on TikTok as of now too? You're adding that in there?
Yes, they're already on there, all of them. So all of the members only shorts videos have also been published to TikTok. If I don't do them at the time I'm making them and uploading them, they'll never make it their way to TikTok. Now, like I say, TikTok's a far more crude piece of software than YouTube. Therefore, you just stick it up and up it goes.
I might have to check it out. I haven't been on there in a while. There's definitely a lot of what you would say feast of nonsense that goes around on there.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
This is addressing it
So
in
it
every
would be
single
nice.
respect. That's what this does,
So-
address feast of nonsense. Go ahead, whoever that is.
No, Nathan, you got to get the measurements in there. Don't line up with them.
Yeah, they're not really touching on that. They'd rather invite an argument and go back and forth about how there should be curvature or there shouldn't or this or that. So it's kind of, yeah, it gets a little annoying, I guess, but.
Thank you to Chow Yun Cat for the super chat. It says, salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. Acts 4:12. Only Jesus. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
And that's 100% correct.
Well, at least we got to number 30 today. That's good.
He also says he's looking forward to the book in a couple of messages down. So it's coming.
Who said that? Jesus?
No. No, Chow. after his super chat. He says, looking forward to the book.
Any day now, any day.
Nathan, you gotta latch on to that freaking that movie. Remember that movie with that lady that was in why am I drawing a blank? Shelley Long? The freaking where they had the house that they bought, the money pit. Every freaking
Tom
contractor.
Hanks.
2 weeks.
Tom
When we're gonna
Hanks.
be done? 2 weeks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, the one where he was stuck in the floor. But every contractor, when they would ask him, so when do you think it's going to be done? 2 weeks.
Yeah, the book will just be a couple more weeks at the most.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Same with these Feast and Nonsense questions. We're on question 30 of 60, and I reckon we'll be through them in a couple of weeks.
Just in time for the book.
Now, my publisher gave me the anticipation that I'd be doing exactly what I am doing, so getting a copy of the ebook to sign off today. And he might just say, I doubt it. Yeah, you can just sell it straight away. Here's the link. Chances are I'll be like, no, this is also what needs to be done. And then sometime next week, he anticipated last Friday of the month, which is whatever, 29th or something. Of May. We're in May, yeah?
Yes, of course. May's my day. 5/23. So next Saturday will be the 30th. So the 29th will be on a Friday. So hopefully it'll be a weekend release, right? That'll be cool.
Maybe. I mean, it might be the case that I can get it out before that. If he says to me later on today, here is the ebook, here is the link, it is now for sale, I will just stick it in whatever this show is, and it'll be a link below. So if you are watching this a couple of days from now, it might be worth checking the link comment. There might be a link comment with a link to the book. If it's available, I'll stick it in. I mean, chances are I might just go live immediately. So in other words, if he gets in touch with me, it's doubtful on a weekend, but let's say he did get in touch on Sunday, I'd probably just schedule a live stream and say, just a quick update, the book is now available for sale, the link to it is below this video, go and buy it now. But that would be about as much fanfare as it would get for a release. As I keep saying, the main work will start once it's out. Then I've got to go and promote it and sell the thing, get people to buy it. What's your PayPal email address, Neil?
What's that?
What's your PayPal email address?
I don't know.
Well, you need to know.
What's my PayPal email address?
So it's Neil's birthday tomorrow. In a moment, he'll dish out his PayPal email address. And you can send him a PayPal if you want to say happy birthday. Send him $5.
Don't forget the cream cakes.
Cream cakes and birthday cakes from Neil. Neil has to provide the cake. That's tradition here.
And then we'll give you the bumps afterwards. That's not a bump either. That's not one of those special lines.
Well, hopefully Neil will dig out his PayPal address. Otherwise, it'll be a missed opportunity. And
what do you mean, a link?
No, just tell me, what is your email address attached to your PayPal account? And then I'll say it.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll just say it, and people can type it into their PayPal and whatever. Unless somebody who's a mod knows your PayPal email address, and then they'll just stick it in the chat, and you can just click on it, hopefully. But as it is your birthday tomorrow, Neil, no harm in dishing out your email address and saying, Neil, I'm sure would be delighted if you offered him I was going to say financial support. Let's call it a birthday present. A well-meaning...
How about a fish pie?
A fish pie will be purchased with the present if you send it in via PayPal, I'm sure.
It's neilcosentino9@gmail.com.
I'll just repeat that. So it's tino9@gmail.com. That's Neil's PayPal email address if you did want to send him a happy birthday today or tomorrow. It is tomorrow, your birthday, right? I'm not mixing up the dates, am I?
Nah, it's tomorrow.
Hopefully a few people will send you a little happy birthday treat via PayPal, Neil.
How old will you be, Neil? 39?
Yeah,
37.
39. You got it.
33 is...
Dee put a
24.
link.
Remember, Neil, it's not how old you are, it's how young you are.
Just check. I put that up in Master B. Is that right, Neil?
Yes. But Dee sent something in Fed chat that's different. I don't know. Maybe he could just do that. Hold on.
Well, I've stuck it in the live stream chat, so if you're watching live, I have stuck a link to email for Neil's PayPal if you did want to give him a birthday present. And say, happy birthday, Neil, here's $5.
Wow,
I'm sure
$1. I was hoping for $1. $5. You got it.
You mean $1? I mean, yes, don't bother sending him $5. He's definitely not worth that much. $1.
I'm happy with it.
Right, we're almost up on the hour.
Happy birthday, Neil.
Yeah, happy birthday for tomorrow, Neil. Many happy returns
Thank you.
of the day that you plopped out of your mum's vagina.
Now, does that count when you were conceived?
No.
Or
Birthday, not conception day. It would be called Spunk Day or something if it was that.
oh, okay.
Nut Day. No,
But it
birthday.
should be an anniversary, right? Because I'm not being born today.
It's the anniversary of your birth.
Happy 61st anniversary.
Yeah.
Anniversary of your birth is a birthday.
I don't understand how it's happy if you're on a countdown to death.
Well, you want to go into salvation. It is, Neil.
I'm not worried about that, but we do enjoy our life here on Earth too. I mean,
Well, then that goes into our discussions of being thankful for each moment and being in the moment.
Exactly. Don't see it as a countdown towards death. Otherwise, you're making death the journey and you're just pissing away time in the meantime while you are actually alive and experiencing the joy of being here. So it's not a countdown to death. I don't see it that way.
Oh, now, Neil. There's no future or past. It's just all now.
There is
Now,
no time.
now,
Time's
now.
just a conception derived from angle measurements
go
of a
back
flat
to
Earth to
that
the
now.
sun.
Happy birthday, mate, anyway.
thank you. Whatever happened to that lady? She never came back, huh?
We scare a lot of
She's
people
stuck in-
nonsense wafflers
she's
off
stuck
when we
in-
tell them off. Go ahead. Sorry, one day.
She must be stuck in time somewhere. Oh, she was annoying.
Now. Listen, Neil, and she's talking to you. It's not hard. See, one deck has the British accent. Neil has the Brooklyn accent. That was funny, though.
Right, good stuff. But unfortunately, regardless of if you are watching this live or on a Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering stream, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, smashed the PayPal, hit me with a super thanks, said happy birthday to Neil via the PayPal that's gone by in the live stream, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.